Hello, welcome to Algebra 1. We've covered a tremendous amount of material so far. We've covered how to simplify fractions, how to work with fractions, some basic ideas of variables and equations. Now we need to dive into a little bit of theory before we can make a little more progress. So through your book you will see definitions like this one we'll talk about in a second. I'm going to go over them. You won't use them to solve most of your problems, but they are necessary for you to understand what's going on. So you understand, the core fundamental theories behind algebra, right? And none of them are hard. I can make them all very simple. I do need to caution you that some of these things we're going to talk about are going to seem really obvious. But in math, you have to start somewhere. So we start with the things that are obvious and we progress from there. So the first thing we need to talk about is this idea of a real number. A real number. Basically, I've written it right here. Any number on the number line. Number line, I'll draw a picture in a second for you here, but basically it's the numbers that go positive off to the right and then also go negative off to the left. Any number on the number line, positive, negative, and 0. Right? So basically it's any number you can possibly think of, except imaginary numbers. And we haven't talked at all about imaginary numbers, but you need to kind of be aware that the reason they're called real numbers is because these are the real numbers, the tangible numbers that you can touch. But you also have this thing called imaginary numbers that we're going to talk about a lot farther along in algebra. And those are very useful also. Just because they're imaginary, don't let that fool you. They're extremely useful in algebra, but they're not the types of numbers that you'll put on the number line like I'm talking about that go off to positive infinity and then off to negative infinity. So in any case, real numbers are basically any number you could possibly dream up that's not imaginary. It doesn't have an I in there. And then the imaginary numbers have the letter I associated with them. We'll talk about those much farther in the future. Anyway, examples of real numbers would be numbers that you're dealing with all the time. The number 1, the number 2, things like that. But also negative